another edition of Property Management Mondays brought to you by NC Real Estate. I'm NC and thank you for joining us this week. This week I'm broadcasting to you from my flat in Bath, which I rent out as an Airbnb listing. I've come down to check everything's okay, and so as we are on the topic, I'm going to be talking to you this week about the top 5 things you must do to make sure that your rental property is health and safety compliant. Now, this might not be the only 5 things, but this is the top 5 things that you need to make sure that you are bang on top of. Get it right, make sure that you're doing it regularly as I tell you, and this should keep your property safe and sound. So here we go, my top 5 things to make sure that you are compliant with health and safety. Number 1, your most important thing is gas safety. You need to be getting a gas safety certificate every 1 year. You also need to be putting CO2 alarms in your flat. If you have gas, this is essential, and you must test that they're working before you get any lease in place, any tenant comes in. Luckily in this flat, I don't have gas. That's a choice that I make because it's far easier to manage. I don't want any hassle from people telling me that they smell gas, so I don't have it. But if you have gas in your property, you need to be getting a gas safety certificate once a year. Diarise it in, don't miss it. If you don't have one before you put a tenant in place, then your tenancy is void. So you have to have one. Please, if you've got gas in your property, go out, get it. And also make sure you've got a CO2 alarm, because you do not want anybody dying because you've got CO2 in your property. All right, so make sure that's your number 1 priority. Tip number 2, you need to be getting electrical safety certificates in, and you do that when you install anything into your flat. So whenever you change any of the electricals, you need to be getting an electrical safety certificate. Roughly, you need to get it done once every 5 years. But obviously, as I've just said, if you update your electrics in any way, you need to get a new electrical safety certificate. Also, important for if you're like me and you've got a holiday rental, any electrical safety, any electrical appliances, anything you have, I've got microwaves, hair dryers, TVs, DVD players, anything like that, you need to get PAT tested. This is because you have to test that it's safe to use. If it's not safe to use, you put it in your flat and it goes bang, you're liable. So get it tested regularly, once every 12 months roughly for PAT safety testing. Make sure it's done so that you have no problems with your tenants using your electrical things. Also, one tip of advice which I didn't realise and I wouldn't have thought of unless my electrician had said it, is you need to get it on your washing machine too. I hadn't realised, but we had to take the whole washing machine out of the unit, so that's another tip. So number 2, get your electrical safety done. Health and safety tip number 3, fire safety. This should be really important to you. Do not let anybody die because there's been a fire in your flat. Please, please, I'm begging you. Okay, so you need to get smoke detectors, heat detectors. You need to make sure your furniture is fire safety compliant. You also need to make sure that you have got fire rated doors so that your tenants are safe if they close the door and they want to be rescued from that room. You need to make sure that you've got emergency evacuation in place. Basically, you need to make sure that your tenants can escape and they are well warned that there's a fire in the building. So make sure that all your smoke detectors are working. You have to test that once before a tenant goes in, every single time, without fail. So make sure you're doing that. If you don't know what else to do, I would call up your local fire brigade and get them to come and have a look around. Ask them what you need to do and implement it. It's non-negotiable. Do not put someone else's life at risk. Just don't. Don't be cheap about it. Just go and get it in place. Okay, so definitely smoke detectors. Definitely. Fire rated doors. Definitely. Any furniture that you put in needs to be fire safe. You have to do this. Okay? So, number 3, fire safety. Get it done. Number 4, this one that's so important for all of you with really, really old buildings with water tanks that sit on the roof. You know the ones, I'm sure of it. If you are getting your water into your flat or into your building from a water tank, that water tank needs to be tested, honestly, because otherwise it could be sitting up there getting all sorts of diseases, mainly Legionellas. Eesh. You do not want that in your flat. So you need to get in contact with someone who can test the water to make sure it's safe to drink. I don't actually own any flats that have that problem, but I know people who do. And I've seen on occasion some people tell me that they've got dead pigeons in their water tank, which is gross. See, you wouldn't want to be drinking water with that in. What? So, go get your water tested. That's number 4. Really important. Make sure you do it. Finally, number 5. Massive one. How are your tenants going to escape in the event of emergency? What are they going to do? What's going to happen if there's a fire? Where are they going to go? You need to be putting in place emergency evacuation procedures. Now, this could be for any reason, but they need to know where they're going. So, for example, in this flat, if there's an emergency, they need to be either going out the common parts, out the main door, down the stairs, out onto the street level, or they need to be looking at closing all my doors, which are fire safety rated, going into the main bedrooms at the front of the building, opening the window, calling the fire brigade, and the fire brigade will come and get them out via the window. Now, it could be different in your building. Ask your freeholders or the people who are managing the building. If you are the freeholder, devise a plan and speak to the local authority and see what they advise doing. It's really, really important. But it's the same with if in the event of emergency you've got a gas leak, who are they calling? Obviously they need to call you, but they're going to have to call someone who can come and sort it out first. So get the numbers in your flat. Similarly with water, where's your stop clock? How do you turn off the water? You need to know all this. You need to tell your tenants and make sure that they are aware of it. Provide it to them and even test them on it. Why not? So make sure they're aware of it. Make sure you've given it to them. Make sure you've recorded that you've given it to them. Make sure they've seen it. You know, make sure they're briefed. Make sure they're safe. That's a really important thing. So, number 5, make sure you've got emergency evacuation procedures in place. Okay, so quick recap on my 5 top things to do for health and safety. Number 1, get your gas safety in place. Non-negotiable, do it. Number 2, electrical safety. Make sure all your appliances are tested, all your electrics are tested. You do not want someone getting electrocuted, not fun. Number 3, you need fire safety in place. Honestly, don't let anybody die because there's a fire in your property. I cannot stress that enough. Go out, get it sorted. Number 4, if you have a water tank in your building, get it tested. Don't let anybody die because of stagnant water or get really unwell. And number 5, make sure your tenants know how to escape from your building in case of emergency. All of these things are so important. As a landlord, you must be doing this. It's non-negotiable. Honestly, just get it done. Don't fuss about it. Get it done. Get it rechecked regularly. I'm going to put all the details of all of this underneath so you can check it out. Go to the relevant websites. Just make sure you're doing it. Please, please, please. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Property Management Mondays. I've been NC. This is brought to you by NC Real Estate. We do property investments, property management, and we also do career mentoring. So head on over to our website, ncrealestate.co.uk, if you're interested. As I said before, I'm putting all the links of how you get the relevant information about keeping updated with health and safety below. Read it, do it, share it with other landlords, and we'll be back next Monday with our next Property Management Monday. In the meantime, have a really, really great week. Thank you for joining us.